So let's talk about the course, in particular feedback we got from last year, and what we're going to do about it this year. So if you look at the student course evaluations, the students really liked the way the course was last year, and we're going to try and keep as much of that as we can. The general feeling about the course was overwhelmingly positive. If you look at the lecture quality, students thought it was very good. How motivating was the course? Students really liked it. They got interested in the material and they enjoyed it. It even encouraged students to take follow-up courses in the material, which is really good. So if you look at the student course evaluations, we can conclude students loved the course the way it was. So from that, you'd say we shouldn't change anything. But of course, student course evaluations aren't everything. Let's take a look at exam performance. So in the exam last year, 40% of the students got less than 60%. Half the students in the class ended up failing the exam, and the amount of time they spent on the exam didn't help. You can see here there's no correlation between how many points the students got and how long they spent. So sitting there longer wouldn't have helped them. So the conclusion we come to this is half the students failed the exam, but they really liked it. So what's going on here? So if we take a look at this, we have this problem. Students loved the course, but half failed the exam. So what's going on? Well, the conclusion we've come to is that the lectures are too passive a way to learn. So we spent too much time in the course last time lecturing the students and not enough time having the students actually work on the material and practice the problems. So how are we going to fix this? We're going to focus on active learning. We're going to try and increase student participation to get more work on actually working on the problems and working with the material, so when it comes time for the exam, you students will have a much better feeling for the material. So to talk about this in detail, let's talk about the logistics of the course and what you're going to have to do and how the course is going to work. So to increase active learning, we're going to change the course focus away from lectures. We're going to focus instead on solving problems and trying to get more student interaction, both with the teaching staff and with the material. How are we going to do this? I'm going to try to flip the classroom. That is, we're going to change the way we present the class. The lectures are going to be at home, and we're going to have problems in class. To do this, we're going to use frequent self-assessment. So we want to use this to have people identify unclear topics. So when you watch the lectures at home, you'll get a little quiz after each lecture, which will help you and help us understand how much of the material you understood. And we're going to look at lots of student feedback. So we're going to get students to give us feedback throughout the whole course on how well this is working, how we can improve it, and maybe what's not working, so that we can try and make the course as good as possible. So what do we have in the course? Well, the course has 4 main parts: lectures, readings, practice problems, and labs, and these can be thought of as divided into 2 chunks. There's background material, this is the lectures and reading, and then there's active problem solving. These are the practice problems and the labs. And so what these are going to consist of, for the lectures, these are going to be online lectures. So you're going to watch the lectures online, and they're required. So we're going to check to make sure that everybody has watched the lecture by the required due date, and if you don't, that's going to hurt your grade. Along with the lectures, we're going to have self-assessment quizzes. These aren't graded, but they are required. And what these are for is they're to give feedback to you to help you understand how much of the material you really got, and feedback to us so that we know what to focus on in the practice sessions and what we should review. The readings are required. We have no way to check this, but there's material in the readings that's going to be in the exam that's not in the lectures. So if you want to pass the exam, you really should do the readings. On the active side of the class, we have practice problems. These are going to be in class for students in class, and they're going to be online for the distance students. These are also required, but they're not graded. That is, you have to do them, you have to participate in them, but we're not going to grade you on whether you get the right answer. Again, we want you to work with the material, we want you to ask questions and get a better feeling for it. Then the labs are going to be done in pairs, and this is required and it's graded. So these are the parts of the course: lectures, readings, practice problems, and labs, and we're trying to move the background material to be not the main focus of the class, so you can spend more time focused on the active problem solving. So how's grading going to work in this course? Well, it's 60% on a written final exam and 40% participation. The participation grade is your average of your 5 lab grades. If you get less than 3 out of 5, that's a U for the class. But you're also going to get a U on the participation if you don't complete your lectures and quizzes on time. This is how we make sure you actually watch the online lectures and that you're doing these quizzes. You're going to get a U on the participation part if you don't work on the practice sessions. So again, we're not grading them, but you do need to do them. And you get a U if your labs are not turned in on time. So when the due date of the lab comes, you need to turn in the lab. Now, I understand that things come up in the term and that this is hard to keep to the exact schedule, so we're going to give you 4 late days. You can use your 4 late days for any of these topics. You can use them in whatever order you want, but you have to tell us before. That is, you can't turn something in 4 days late and then come to us and say you want to use your late days. You need to tell us on the day that it's going to be turned in that you're going to use a late day. There's a lot more detail about grading and how this all works out on the syllabus on the website. So, how can you pass this class with the least amount of effort and time? It's pretty straightforward. You need to do the following. You need to read the book, and you need to read it on time. You need to watch the lectures, and watch them on time. You need to do the practice problems, either in class or on time for distance students, and you need to do the labs and turn them in on time. Basically, if you do the work that's expected in this class, that is the most efficient way for you to learn the material for the exam. So everything here is designed to help you on the exam. We're not trying to have you do more work than you need to do. We're trying to fix this problem that last year, most of the students passed, many of the students failed the exam. We had half the students failing the exam, and this year we want to give more people more practice so that they won't fail the exam. One thing that I think it's really important to mention here is the exam will cover the book reading and the lectures. Neither one covers all the material. That is, if you just watch the lectures, there's some stuff on the exam that you won't have seen, and if you just read the book, there's some stuff from the lectures that will be on the exam that you won't have seen. You need to do both of these. The practice problems and labs are designed to help you learn the material. This is not wasted time. We're trying to make things easier for you to learn, and we want your feedback on this. So if you feel that this material isn't appropriate, please let us know and we'll try and make it as good as possible. So how can you get help in this class? There are a bunch of ways to do this. If you need help from instructors or TAs, we have office hours. Check out the website for the time, just stop by our offices and we'll be here to answer your questions. You can also ask questions online. There are course discussions on the website and you can use those to ask questions. We'll try and answer them and other students can answer them. At the end of lectures, you also have an opportunity to ask questions about the lectures. You can also review on your own. The lectures are online. You can go through them whenever you want, and the book isn't going anywhere. It's a very good book, so I really recommend you read it. You can also work with other students. And we're trying really hard to encourage this. This is why we have these practice problems and why we have labs in pairs. But you need to make sure you don't cheat. If you have any questions about what is and isn't plagiarism in this context, please take a look at the syllabus. It has more details. So what's the schedule for the class? Well, the specific dates are all up on the website. There's a nice little calendar. You can see what's due and when. But basically, we're going to have 5 labs, 14 lectures, a bunch of readings, and a bunch of practice problems. The lectures you need to watch before the class meeting or before the practice problems are done for the distance students. And there are self-assessment quizzes with these. They're not graded, but they're used so that we know what you need to practice and you get a feeling for how you're doing. Those are not optional. The readings will be on the exam. I've said this before. I'll keep saying it. It's a good book. Please do read it. It will really help you. And the practice problems are required, but we're not grading them. The focus here is for you to work with other students to get a feeling for the material and get lots of help from us. So keep in mind there are a lot of due dates here. Don't miss them. They're all on the website.